The Senate opens this morning after a very late night of amendment votes on the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act, USICA. That's the initials. We're starting to call it that. 5 in total, 4 of which of these amendments were sponsored by Republicans. So far on this bill, the Senate has held votes on no fewer than 18 amendments, 4 from Democrats and 14 from Republicans, and there are more to come. As I mentioned yesterday, in a landmark moment for bipartisanship in the Senate, we even adopted an amendment from Senator Rand Paul by voice vote. Yes, that's right. I said the 2 words together, Rand Paul, voice vote. 4 words, but I said the 2 concepts together, Rand Paul, voice vote, 4 words. Now, the media will tell you that if you're talking process, you're losing. But the process was really important here. For years, senators have been clamoring for a more open process and more amendment votes. I can't tell you how many speeches I've heard on the floor about the virtues of regular order. Well, this competition bill ought to be the answer to my colleagues' prayers. The bill has moved through regular order, flying through various Senate committees with staggering bipartisan votes. The entire Senate opted to take up the bill by a vote of 86 to 11. And here on the floor, we've held the kind of vigorous, bipartisan, open amendment process that senators have been calling for. Some of these votes were tough for our side. In the old days, we would have said no. We said yes, we'll vote for them, but let's keep moving forward, and we are. Listen to this. It's only May, roughly 5 months since Democrats took the majority in this chamber, and already more amendments have received roll call votes than during any of the past 4 years. Let me repeat that so people hear it from one end of the Capitol to the other, particularly on this side of the aisle. In 5 months, more amendments have received roll call votes in this Democratic-led Senate than during any of the years in which Donald Trump was president and Senator McConnell was majority leader. We have considered the competition bill in an exceedingly bipartisan way. There'll be a few final steps to take, a few final amendments to consider, but I hope my Republican colleagues have seen our commitment to developing, drafting, and perfecting this legislation in total concert with the other side of the aisle. With cooperation from our Republican colleagues, we can finish the bill today, and I hope we do. That's our intention. Because despite the lack of attention it has garnered from the press, the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act will be one of the most significant pieces of bipartisan legislation we pass in a very long time. It could be a moment in history that future generations look back on as a turning point for American leadership in the 21st century. Everyone knows the federal government's commitment to science and technology has been slipping for decades. We've been complacent at the top of the global heap, and our position as the world's economic leader is teetering. We now spend less than 1% of our GDP on basic scientific research. The Chinese Communist Party, as a percentage, spends more than twice that. We've put ourselves in a very precarious position of potentially falling behind the rest of the world in technologies and industries that will define the next century. If that happens, the days of America leading the world in scientific innovation, the days of America being the leading economic and military power in the world may be over. This is a moment when the United States Senate can arrest the decline and lay the foundation instead for another American century. That's why this is a moment in history that future generations could well look back on as a turning point for American leadership in the 21st century. By investing in science and technology, shoring up critical industries like semiconductors, boosting our universities, laboratories, and businesses, we can keep America on top and outcompete the world in industries of the future. That is just what this legislation would do. Our 2 parties have worked very hard on it. I think we've made a number of notable improvements to the bill. It's time to move forward together and pass this bill. Now, on another matter that should also be just as bipartisan in the Senate, the commission to investigate the January 6th attack on the Capitol. We all know that January 6th was one of the lowest moments in our democracy, one of the lowest moments in the grand history of our 200 and some odd year experiment, noble experiment in democracy. An outgoing president of the United States, fresh off an electoral defeat, a significant electoral defeat, did something that no other president in recent history has done. Rather than accept the results of the election and support the peaceful transfer of power, a hallmark of our democracy that has inspired democracies all over the world, former President Trump unabashedly lied repeatedly about the results of the election and fomented an armed rebellion at the United States Capitol. We're all witnesses to those events. We all heard the lies. We lived through the terrible consequences. Lest we forget, 140 police officers were injured in the attack. 5 Americans would eventually lose their lives. In the weeks since, faith in our elections has plummeted. More than half of the Republican Party now believes that 2020 elections were rigged and that Joe Biden isn't the actual president of the United States. Republican state legislatures across the country, captured by Donald Trump's big lie, are tripping over themselves to restrict access to the ballot box. Arizona Republicans, in quote, unquote, an election audit, have been researching for traces of bamboo fibers in the 2020 ballots, chasing a bananas crazy right-wing internet conspiracy that China had ballots imported to tip the scales for Biden. That is how insane this has become, hunting for bamboo in ballots. We need to put a stop to this cancer in the Republican Party. We need to stand up to the big lie. We must get at the truth and do everything in our power to restore Americans' faith in our elections and this grand, ongoing, noble experiment of democracy. In that light, a national, bipartisan, independent commission to report on the events of January 6th is exactly what the doctor ordered. We have to investigate, expose, and report on the truth. We need to establish a trusted record of what really transpired on January the 6th and the events that preceded it. That's what this commission is designed to do in a bipartisan, straight-down-the-middle manner. Now, I've gone through all the silly excuses that we've heard from our Republican colleagues about why the commission isn't needed, it's too early, will go on for too long, needs to be modeled after the 9/11 Commission, even though it already is. The truth of the matter seems to be that Senate Republicans oppose the commission because they fear that it might upset Donald Trump and their party's midterm messaging. I'm not speculating. That was reported in Politico yesterday that the Senate leader, Republican leader, warned his conference that January the 6th commission could hurt the Republicans politically. Well, too bad. This is too important. For the sake of Americans' faith in our democracy, there must be a full, thorough, and trusted account of what happened on January the 6th. Senate Republicans must decide if they're on the side of truth or on the side of Donald Trump's big lie. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum. Or I ask the unanimous consent that the quorum I just noted be dispensed with.
So noted.
And now, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to executive session to consider the following nomination, Calendar 135, that the nomination be confirmed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate, that no further motions be in order to the nomination, that the President be immediately notified of the Senate's action, and that the Senate then resume legislative session.
Without objection.
Now, Madam President, I now note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.